Welcome, everyone. Kevin Carpenter back again. And this time I'm interviewing with Daniela. She's got a keynote coming up for CPP on C, which I'm excited to hear about. And I kind of laugh because not getting lost in translations. And I was just joking with Daniela, my Deutsch ist nicht gut, aber ich lernen. and and there's a joke beyond that. But Daniela, it's a pleasure to chat with you. This is our first time.
Thank you.
Tell everyone a little about yourself, if you don't mind.
Well, I don't mind. Yeah, I have a long career behind me. I've started in the 80s, electrical engineering. So I'm actually an electrical engineer by profession, but I started building computers and programming in the late 70s, in the heydays of microprocessors, when everything was new and everything was exciting. And then I went into more like governmental stuff, like looking into the air and seeing what kind of waves are in there from the other side of the world. And after 20 years now, I'm working at a very tiny company in the southern part of Germany, the northern half of Bavaria, where we do non-destructive inspection of steel, mostly steel, using ultrasound. So I'm still occupied by waves, but no longer radio waves, but sound waves these days. And this is what I'm doing.
That's interesting because I was saying before, like when I was in the Air Force, I actually worked on, I could build a wing for you. That's what we call it, military intelligence, right? Because I scored high on everything, but I got to build wings and paint aircraft. But the thing that was interesting is we had NDI there and I think back then they used a lot more, I want to say chemicals and dyes to look for cracks. So that's got to be kind of cool to use ultrasound for testing metal.
Yeah, ultrasound and also eddy current. You
Ah,
mentioned
okay.
cracks. Eddy current is good to detect cracks at the surface of steel. And if you are looking for flaws more in the deep of steel, you use ultrasound.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. Just because when I think of ultrasound, I think of, you know, when we had the ultrasound done so I could see my daughters
Ah,
before they were born,
okay.
not necessarily really solid materials. Is it in the end, does it come out just like signal processing? I
Yeah,
mean, overall?
it's mostly signal processing. You do signal processing in the analog front end, you do signal processing in the circuitry right behind the A to D converter. And then you
Mhm.
do signal processing to actually figure out if there is a flaw or if it's just something that should be there. And in the end, you process your data to generate a picture out of it so that the person in front of the machine can look at the picture and figure out, yeah, oh, this particular, let's say, wheel axle of a train is fit for another round of 1,000,000 kilometers or something like that.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. And having ridden on a lot of trains coming over here, I can appreciate the fact that when you're doing 300 kilometers an hour, it's gonna last.
If you have been on a high-speed train in Europe, you probably have been on a train that's using wheel axles that went over
Yep.
a machine designed by myself.
Ah, that is very cool.
So I'm confident in riding trains, except for the train ones. They have a different strength.
My wife does not like to fly, so I will let her know we can be even more confident on the trains.
Okay.
So your keynote's going to be not getting lost in translations.
Yeah.
And the joke I have about that is I was talking with someone who we were I'm learning German, and she reminded me that net does not mean nice the way I think it means nice, depending on where it's used. And so with that, I will say, tell me about your keynote.
Yeah, actually, when Phil was approaching me with a keynote, I was figuring out what could it be. And then it came up to my mind that maybe I should speak a little bit about a machine that I've built 15 years ago. and also my troubles with speaking foreign languages. And as you pointed out, translation means a lot of things in our profession. It can be natural languages spoken by people, or it can be the stuff that a compiler is doing. The compiler is mentioned once in the whole standard as being a translator. So there is also translation in here, also translation phases. So I was a little bit playing with words. Then I selected the title, Not Getting Lost in Translation. And this is what I wanted to speak about. So as you probably know, I'm an electrical engineer and I'm an engineer by heart. So I really want to put people into a situation where they can handle things and they can do it confidently and they can do it in a good fashion. So this is what I am looking for. I'm not a regular computer science person who could speak hours and days about cool stuff in languages like maybe Haskell or Acta or what it may ever be. I'm a down to earth person and I want to get stuff done. And this is what I wanted to speak about in my keynote at cpponsea. And I will speak about a machine of ours that I've designed long ago and about the problems in where we started out with pure German, and then international customers were arriving at our doorsteps and we had to do something. And this is the story that I want to talk about. And behind the story is a lot of stuff that's going on in the software, because I'm also the designer of the software, all of it, and the build system and the tools and everything. And in the course of this machine and the development of the machine, I am also developing a library. This is just a library, an in-house library, but I will probably open it up in the near future. And this is about giving a means to actually combine FMT format or STUD format or print with translation. So that you can actually translate your output and still retain the possibilities to figure out if your formatting arguments and your formatting specification is still right. Usually, if you have a runtime translation, you lose this capability. You have to resort to exceptions and you have to handle exceptions if something is wrong with your formatting specification or if you have given the wrong formatting argument. And what I'm trying to do is to do all of that at compile time. And this is what the library is about. And I also will speak about techniques, how you can do that in C++, now that we are in the modern times. This is the topic of my keynote.
Well, oh my gosh, I mean, there's a lot of depth in there. So I'm excited to see it because, one hand, all of the learnings over the 15 years since you started doing that to now working on a library, that's very cool.
Okay, the library is not as old, but it's just a year, so maybe 1.5 years. But the techniques to be able to do something like that, this is something that I really learned during my work on the FMT library. Maybe you don't know, but I have been in around 2017-18, the second biggest contributor to the formatting library.
No, I did
right
not.
after Victor Svetovich.
Ah, okay.
So I learned a lot doing work on there. And this helped me to actually find a way to do what I wanted to do.
And in C++, let's be, in my mind, let's be honest, it's like formatting strings and string output is, we always have had challenges. And Hannah Deskova, we were at meeting C++ doing the C++ pub quiz, and she laughed at me because they were using emojis, and she's like, "Oh, poor Kevin, he's only used ASCII," because where coming from the States, that's all we ever knew, and
Yeah,
there's so much more in a character set. So that is very cool. Well, I'll be excited to hear your talk and see you
you're
at
welcome.
CPP on C. Um, we're only a little ways away. I think 3 weeks, maybe a little. No,
Uh,
1 month.
it's a month from now.
Yes.
I still have to prepare my talk. Yeah, I'm still working on my library. I'm, as I said, I'm a hands-on person. I want to do stuff,
Yes.
and this is the reason why I can't stop working on my library. But I'm pretty sure I will not be finished in a month of time. So let's hope that I can prepare a good talk for folks. And
Oh, Daniela, one thing I'm never worried about is you preparing a good talk. So yeah, I'm
well,
sure you'll be working on everything up until the day. That's what we do as speakers, right?
yeah, this is right. I will be arriving early at Folkestone so that I have the first time to see a little bit about the southern part of England and the surrounding of the location there.
Oh
You
yeah,
probably had a chance to go there as well and see what's going on there in the Shire of Kent.
yes. And Dover is going to the Dover Cliffs and everything over there. That was a beautiful, the
Well,
castle up
that's nice.
there, and yes, we did that our first year. So if you're coming to CPP on C, you definitely want to make an extra couple days to explore the area. It really is beautiful.
I will come by train.
As yes, and it's a
The rest,
it's a nice high speed train, and
well,
you'll know it's be safe.
it's the train under the sea.
Yes, it is. 100 meters. I
Yeah,
love taking the Eurostar. It's a blast. So
I hope it wouldn't break down while I'm on there because they are not customers of ours yet.
oh, they will need to change that.
I hope they'll do
Yeah.
because it feeds myself and my colleagues.
Yes. And everybody wants to eat. That is important.
Yeah,
Well, Daniela, thank you for your time today, and I will look
you for
forward to
having
seeing
me.
you at CPP on C.
Yeah, I will look forward.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.